Hello, whoever's watching this today. Welcome back. Whether you know it or not, you've just entered into the third segment of my blog. Much like the transition from the first segment to the second segment, we have once again changed the title of the blog from the second segment to the third segment. We will now carry on with the title, Jesus Saves and I Love You. And this portion of the blog will be focusing more on social justice and freeing those enslaved to different types of oppression, and trying to raise about more of an awareness and advocacy that can create real and lasting change in bringing forth a truer, more full definition of love. Earlier today, in between my first and second class at Penn State Shenango, I crossed the path by chance of June Bruckner, who currently is more widely known for her talents and publishings as a chef. I would love for you to help me change that by earnestly and or prayerfully considering what you can do and be to help fight alongside of her to gain justice for her son and those with similar obstacles. I'll let her do the rest of the talking.
Hi, my name is June Bruckner, and I was honored to meet Luke today in the hallway at Penn State Shenango, and I am here to talk about c.a.s, which is childhood apraxia of speech. And in about 1 hour, I will be in an individualized education plan meeting, which is basically every parent's worst nightmare. I am attempting to move my son into a regular education classroom, which he currently is in a speech and language classroom. Apraxia is a motor programming delay for language. My son is now 7 years old. He was diagnosed with apraxia when he was 2. He has had over 900 speech therapy sessions, and we have worked so hard, my husband and I, to get to the point where he is at now with actually talking. I feel that people they're not educated about apraxia. Every IEP meeting, which behind the IDEA law, you can call as many IEP meetings as you want in a year. But when it boils down to it, and you would go into these IEP meetings and ask the administrators, the faculty, in your regular education school system, what is apraxia? They still can't define it for you. And once a child has a label on them, you have to fight like hell to get that label off. Apraxia hopefully is curable. I know my son is speaking now. We were told that he would never speak, and if he did speak, they do not know how much he would be able to speak. We have to get him into the regular educational classroom so that he can excel and get up to being balanced with his other peers, because he needs to have the same type of peer socialization. We did a trial basis with him. He was crying every day, and I said, that's it. I want him in the regular education classroom for 1 week. In that 1 week, Tristan changed 180 degrees. He was coming home and saying, I want to be the mayor of this town. I want, when I get older, I'm going to drive this type of car and I'm going to talk this way. And he was counting in fives. He was counting in tens. He knew dimes, quarters, nickels. And then a week later, when I go back into the classroom to say, how's everything going? I'm so excited. You've integrated him into the regular education classroom. No one knew what was going on. So there was no type of communication going on. So that happened 3 weeks ago. So everything was starting to spur up. I was starting to feel as if I needed to keep closer tabs on what was happening, what was going on, because as a parent, having a child with apraxia, it's so rare, and the regular education school has no idea what they're doing with apraxia. I started going into the school systems and I would do the pop-in just to see where he was at. And can you believe that they had no clue where he was at one day? They could not tell me where my son was at. Now, that's not even, I couldn't accept that answer. I had to find out where he was at. And as I went to different advocates and started pulling my team together for today, when I approached them and their different backgrounds and where they came from, I started to learn that the advocates said, June, I have 175 students in this facility, but I know where John is going to be from 11:30 to 12:15. So on that day that they didn't know where Tristan was at, I asked 3 people where he was. Where was he? Where was he? None of them knew. Not one. And I felt like, is my son just basically running around the school? Where's the structure? There's no structure. I needed structure for him. His homework through his regular education classroom is sent home very sporadically. Nothing is structured again. I don't see anything on a weekly basis sent home to me. Everything is just sort of, it's like on a graph. It's some weeks are high, some weeks are low. I see more low than high. Nothing is ever just on a nice grid. Nothing's ever just perfectly smooth. I'm constantly fighting. I'm constantly trying to make sure I know where he's at, his schedule. To this day, I still cannot get a schedule of what my son does.
How can we find this information or support you or support your cause for advocacy? What types of online websites or numbers can we call, or email addresses?
Well, you can definitely contact CASANA, which is C.A.S.A.N.A. They are a nonprofit organization that supports childhood apraxia of speech out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania basically is the guru of apraxia. David Hammer, Nancy Kaufman are the 2 speech pathologists that we went to see when we were absolutely up against a concrete wall. I feel that there's an intense amount of lack of communication with the school systems, with the regular education classroom versus the IU4 classroom or the intermediate unit. And that's why I'm here at Penn State. And I'm here for my HDFS, which is Human Development. I have a degree in culinary arts, but I was telling Luke that I realized that from cooking and then teaching culinary arts, I began to talk about apraxia more, a considerate amount more. And I just wanted to advocate and help other parents, because I never ever want to have to see another parent go through what I'm going through. And it's going to continue until someone stops it and stands up and says, no, I'm not going to allow this to happen anymore.